I want to preface this by saying, I know I probably look insane. I self-tanned this morning. I haven't washed it off. I don't know what I look like on camera, but I don't look good in person. So, but hey y'all, I'm back and I have more creepy stories. I don't even know if you can necessarily consider these creepy stories. More like unfortunate. We might have some scary ones in here. Who knows? I haven't read through all of them because this is another compilation of like scary or horror stories, I guess. But retail horror stories. This is basically my excuse to tell you all of my retail horror stories because I guarantee you I relate to a lot of these. I'm like so excited to get into these. Miscarriage in the fitting room, also pee in the fitting room, and a woman who cracked herself upon entering the store. Never dealt with a miscarriage, but I have dealt with the others. And I'm gonna tell you all my stories in this video. We had a lady come in one time and I worked at Victoria's Secret, I worked at Victoria's Secret and we were having like a panty sale and this lady came in. It was so busy because the panty sales were like a huge deal for some reason, even though it was like still overpriced. Lady comes in, she's standing in line after picking out all of her underwear and the line is really long. We still to this day don't know what happened because we're not sure if she just didn't want to get out of line or if it was like an actual medical issue, but she pissed herself and it was bloody. And she pissed herself all over the floor, but this is the worst part. She had her hands like down by her crotch area, like she was holding her stuff down there. And so when she peed herself, she peed all over the panties that she was buying. And she just didn't even budge, like nothing happened to her. And she walked up to the register and handed the cashier the like pee and blood soaked underwear and the girl was like, "Why are these wet?" And then looked down and was like, "Fuck you." I'm pretty sure she was like, "Oh my God, that's disgusting," and dropped them because that's a very normal reaction. I'm so sorry. It's so bizarre to like piss yourself if there was not an actual medical issue, which she wasn't panicked, so I just don't think it was. But to pee on a product and then hand it to someone else, that's disgusting. I'm like, did she not even notice? Like, honestly. I also had an instance where I was working like a shipment shift early in the morning, like 5 a.m. And I was putting some stuff away, restocking, blah, blah, blah. And there was poop smeared all over the fixtures. It was fucking disgusting. I had to have been a baby, honestly, but like, control your child. Oh my God. I could probably swamp you with stories both from my time as a deli worker and as a former manager at Target. Here's some highlights though, all from the top of my head. A woman threw her phone at my employee's face when we wouldn't let her return her PS3. Is that not assault? Older woman was on an electric cart and left a trail of poop behind her as she drove around the store. A man threw chips in my face and called me a fucking loser when I wouldn't sell booze to his incredibly drunk ass. His friend had just been arrested for a DWI outside the store. A man flipped his shit when we made this sandwich with white vinegar instead of red. Seriously, he acted as if we had slaughtered the last puppy in the world in front of him. He was eventually kicked out of the store since he wouldn't stop having a hissy fit. No, because why did I actually have a lady when I worked at the sandwich shop? I had a lady come in, scream at the top of her lungs at me. I was 16, mind you. Scream at the top of her lungs because I didn't put enough mayonnaise on her sandwich. Like, she asked for extra mayonnaise. I put what I thought was an appropriate amount of extra mayonnaise. I gave her a whole cup, like a whole bowl cup full of mayonnaise. And I guarantee you she ate the whole thing. Not judging, I love mayonnaise, but holy shit. Grocery store. I was about to leave. The manager on duty asks me to stick around because he spotted a shoplifter. As she passed the registers, we walk up to her and ask her to stop. She immediately grabs my manager's arm and bites down. I pull her off of him and we walk her upstairs. We sit her down in a chair, tell her we have to fill out a report. While working on that, she pulled out a box knife she had found and slit both of her wrists. After about 30 seconds of bleeding, she stands up and holds out her bloody hands, still holding the knife, and starts chasing us. Nara's eating my hair. Like, not during this story. We bolt down the stairs and slam the door behind us. We call 911, and while waiting for an ambulance/police to show up, she climbed into the ceiling. We had to evacuate the whole store. The fire department found her up in the rafters after about 30 minutes. She ended up being okay and ended up in jail for a while for it. All for a $12 razor. We wouldn't have even charged her for stealing if she just hadn't gone all crazy. That's insane. I'm so sorry, but what the fuck? Walgreens manager. Woman walks in with a mask and gun in hand. Every person is locked into the cooler. One manager is forced to open all registers and safe. Police storms in. Woman gets shot in the head. Also, coffee in the lunchroom tastes bad. Oh my god, that's traumatizing. That's traumatizing. Why'd she get shot in the head? Was she like gonna shoot them? I don't know. I just feel like that's like dramatic, unless she was coming at them first. I don't know. I used to work the graveyard shift in an adult superstore. One day early in my shift, I was wrapping videos and putting them out on the sales floor. So while I'm putting out videos, I start smelling shit really strongly. I'm thinking someone must have ripped a very heinous and lingering fart. Continue wrapping and stalking videos. This guy walks up to the register with a video, so I run up front to ring him up. I grab the video, scan it, bag it, tell him the total, and grab the 20 on the counter. It's as I'm making change for this guy that I realize the shit smell is overwhelmingly strong. I have his change, and as he holds his hand up for it, I can see that his hand has shit on it. Like dried, caked shit all over his hands. I'm thinking, what the fuck? So apparently this guy is messed up. I'm just gonna drop the change into his hand and he'll be on his way. So I go to drop it and he moves his hand up to grab the change and he fucking touches my hand. He quickly exits as I stand there in disbelief. I then break out the disinfectant and start cleaning the shit, pun intended, out of my hands. I then take out all the money from the drawer and disinfect the whole counter / register area. And then I have a disturbing thought. Where did this guy get his poo play on at? Was it here? I run to the bathroom and there is shit everywhere. It's on the walls, the sink, the toilet, everywhere, except the toilet paper. The smell is horrendous. I'm like actually gonna like throw up. I have tears in my eyes. This is disgusting. I call the manager and she comes in, goes into the bathroom and immediately vomits. She then relieves me so I can clean the bathroom. Worst night ever. Ah! This one says, not safe for work. An old drunk guy who used to park his truck by the entrance and masturbate while gazing at the female employees. How was he not arrested? I worked at 7-Eleven at the time. We knew this was going on, but we couldn't do anything unless we witnessed it. One day he decided to ask me why I was cold and impolite to him when I was nice to everyone else who was in the store. It was a little busy, so I just blurted out, because every time you come in and buy beer, you go out and masturbate in your car. Amazingly, I didn't get fired and he never came back while I was working. I worked in a piano and organ store in the mall. This on its own was a huge mistake. I still kick myself for making polite conversation with one college kid who was still wearing his high school jacket. I'm not sure if he was mentally ill or just socially awkward, but he proceeded to grab my business card on my desk after talking for about a full minute and started to call my cell phone about 5 times a day. I would never answer, but he left more and more elaborate calls about how he wanted to be more than friends. It was creepy. It finally stopped when I put in my 2-week notice, which I was meaning to do anyways, thank goodness. And I got a local police officer to call him with a cease and desist. That's like sad, like I feel like, I don't know. It makes me sad for the kid, but also it's so uncomfortable for you, and obviously you should not be put through that. But it makes me sad for the kid because I'm like, I wonder like if like there is something, you know what I mean? I don't know. I was working at the Gap during university. I had a job with a location in Toronto, which was great as far as retail goes. When the school year ended, I had them transfer me back to my hometown for the summer. I worked in the back of house, organizing stock, restocking items that ran low, and running checks at salesperson requests for sizes that might not be on the sales floor. Midsummer, I took a short vacation to a Caribbean island and came back with a brutal sunburn. We're talking skin peeling off, hurts to wear a shirt, burn. Took forever to get better, and during the healing period, my girlfriend also dumped me for another guy. What the hell is this gonna lead to? The weekend after I got dumped, I went into work. Before the shift, there's typically a team meeting. Depending on managers, that means different things. Usually a pep talk to encourage selling and may involve some kind of team building exercise. In this case, the supervisor wanted us to go around the circle of employees and give a reason why it was going to be a good day today. People gave various answers in the vein of, I'm gonna beat my sales record, or the team we have makes work so easy. When it came to be my turn, I honestly wasn't feeling the bullshit, so I kind of shrugged and said a similar platitude. I can't remember what after all these years. Supervisor took issue though because I hadn't said it with a smile and requested I smile. What? I was miserable and not in a state to be smiling. I iced her out saying that I didn't think I could muster a smile because of some personal issues. She persisted, but with no results, she uncomfortably carried on, and when the meeting broke, she asked me to stay back. She then told me I had a bad attitude and that she would have to write me up. I explained my situation and she stood firm on the write-up. Fuck her. I was pissed, but diligently did my job for the rest of my shift. I was waiting to see if my rage was an irrational response, but after 6 hours, I could clearly see the bullshit. I went over the supervisor's head to the store manager, explained the situation that had transpired, including my personal issues, and told her I intended to quit. She laid a guilt trip onto me about how the Gap had graciously accepted my transfer and how they needed me for an upcoming inventory and refused to accept my resignation, insisting I cool off and then come back to her. The next day I came back, I'm cooled off, and I quit. Never worked retail again. No, because the amount of experiences I've had that left me, oh my God. I want to say irrationally angry, but I feel like after all of the bullshit I was put through working retail, through my managers, like my managers were awful. Oh my God, it's not irrational anger. It's just pure anger because they treat you like shit. They do not care about you. I remember this story so vividly because my friend was coming to visit me. She lived in California at the time, and she wasn't going to like get here until midnight, maybe even later than that, because she had to leave after work. I worked at 5 a.m. the next morning, and I knew that this was happening for like a couple weeks prior, and I had asked my manager and my boss, like my store manager, if I could have that day off. I never took days off. I never called out sick. I was the best employee ever. Like this is gonna sound insane, but I like set standards for like what they expected because I worked in the back room. Like I set records for like how fast we could do shipment. I did all of this and like I did so much for them, and I worked so hard, and I cared so much about that job. Like not about them, but like about like the girls who worked under me and like making the store look good. That's all I cared about. And I never asked for days off, ever. I never called out. I would take vacation every once in a while, but that was it. I asked if I could have somebody cover my shift, and my boss said no. And I was like, why? Like, I'm telling you like 2-3 weeks in advance. And she was like, we need you, like, no, like, even if you got someone to cover your shift, they like basically can't do what you're capable of, which is just like so stupid because I'm like, I'm gonna be folding shirts. We were doing a floor set, so we were like redoing the front of the store, whatever. Granted, I probably was faster than a lot of the girls, but I literally was like, could I have 2 people cover my shift? Like if I got 2 girls to come in, is that fine? Like, I'm like, am I 2 people? Like, what? Still said no, absolutely refused to let me miss this shift. And since like she knew my friend was coming into town, I couldn't call out sick because she would know and I would probably get written up. Anyways, morning comes, my friend doesn't get in till midnight, 1 a.m. I go to bed at like 2, probably wake up at 4:30 for work. I am so miserable, obviously, and I get there. My boss was supposed to be there. It was supposed to be my boss and my manager and then a bunch of girls. My boss called out. And I was like, if this was so important, if this was so fucking important, why do you get to miss it? That's insane. So she didn't come because she was tired, by the way. She wasn't sick. She was tired. So she didn't come in. So now I'm there with like, there's like also 3 other girls there. So it wasn't even like a huge floor set because normally if it was a big one, we'd have like 10 people. There was like maybe 5 of us. And guess what I was tasked with? Folding shirts in a corner by myself. I was sobbing hysterically. And after I finished like folding all of my fucking shirts, I went over to my manager and I was like, I'm so sorry, I have to say this. This is so unfair. I was like, you're not even having me do anything of importance, but I had to be here. Like, I never asked for but I was honestly probably yelling because I was so frustrated and like didn't sleep. Oh my God. And she was like, well then just fucking go. And I was like, bye. And I left because I'm like, okay. And there we go. Okay, we're just gonna read a couple more. Not really a horror story, but easily could have been. Several decades back when my mom was working retail downtown and it was her turn at the cash, I think she was in college or something, and cash was only a few feet into the store and then you walked onto a major road. A couple of her coworkers were asking what she would do if she got held up. Of course, she said she would probably shit herself or something. Not even 1 hour later, some guy walks in and holds her up. And she starts laughing in his face. I would probably do the same because you think that they like are joking and set you up. Like, I don't know. She's also looking for the original 2 who had asked her the question. She can't see them but figures they might just be on break. And there's this guy who's trying to do a hold up getting laughed at by the chick he's holding up. Nor is my mom particularly intimidating looking. Not then and not now. Eventually he just left. My mom saw the other 2 and that's when she found out they had no clue who that guy was. No, they weren't playing a trick on her. And yes, she really did get held up. That's honestly genius. It's genius to laugh at them. It's genius to be like, you're so stupid, basically. And like, ha ha ha, good one. And then they're like that's so uncomfortable Like, imagine it's like your first time robbing a store and they laugh at you and you're like, oh my god, like this is so embarrassing. I'm not saying to do that, by the way. That might get you in more danger. I'm just saying it's funny. This is so sad, but it's gonna be the last one we read. I've never worked in retail, though today I was at Target and apparently someone had got caught shoplifting because an alarm was going off and the employees were running around in a mild panic. This one large, overweight, bald guy with a red shirt on comes running down the aisle. I'm guessing he was the store's mall cop sort of person. He slipped and fell and slid a ridiculous distance on the waxed floor. No, because that's so sad. Can you imagine you're like security and you fall? It's like even more embarrassing than getting laughed at when you're trying to hold someone up. He got up and continued to his destination at a more reasonable pace. At least he was a trooper. Like, at least he got up. Honestly, if I fell, I'd be like, never mind, let them take whatever they want. Okay, well, that's all I have for now. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any crazy, creepy, scary, whatever retail stories that you want to share with me or the community, I will have my subreddit linked down below. And like my last 2 videos, I don't even know, the date stories and the Uber stories, there's a bajillion of these. I need to start reading more Reddit threads like this because there's so many stories. Everyone's sharing their stories. But other than that, I'm gonna go. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye.